Your father was seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed.
There is still good in him.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
There is good in him. I felt it. I can save him. I can turn him back.
So, you have accepted the truth.
I've accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
That name no longer has any meaning for me.
It is the name of your true self. You've only forgotten.
It is too late for me, son.
In the biblical tradition, taking a new name marked a change in destiny. Abram became Abraham, father of nations. Jacob became Israel, one who wrestled with God. Anakin Skywalker also took a new name. However, where others changed their names to walk toward the light, the name he took represented his soul getting consumed by the dark. That name was Darth Vader.
Don't make me destroy you. Your pain has just begun.
Anakin Skywalker was paralyzed by fear of loss, of failure, of not being enough. Darth Vader is what's left when fear replaces hope and the man inside is too afraid to feel again. Where Anakin was overwhelmed by emotion, Vader learned to wield it, turning fear into a weapon. His presence is suffocating just as he is constantly gasping for air. The rhythmic hiss of his mechanical breathing, cold and inhuman, serves as a reminder that something unnatural lives behind the mask. It's not the breath of a life. It's a robotic wheeze of survival. A ventilator meant to sustain a ruined body. A man so broken he cannot breathe without help, yet is so feared that even his weakness becomes an instrument of his terror. He is the dead among the living, a Frankenstein of flesh and metal, not built to escape death, but to live forever on its edge. Every step he took as Vader, every order followed, every life taken wasn't just cruelty. It was confirmation, proof in his own mind that redemption was impossible. He had made his choice, and now he was trapped inside it. Because to be Anakin again would mean facing everything he destroyed. He deserved the mask. This was all he was ever meant to be. After all, it's not like anyone ever truly believed in him. Not the Jedi Council, not Palpatine, not even himself. So he buried the name and built something colder, sharper, crueler. A persona strong enough to endure the agony underneath. Vader isn't Anakin's transformation. He's his coping mechanism, a ghost enslaved in metal, haunting a galaxy he once tried to save. However, despite Vader's despondency, there is hope. A new hope, if you would. At first, Luke Skywalker sees the world in absolutes. The Empire is evil, the Jedi are good. Vader is a monster. And who could blame him? That's exactly how Ben Kenobi sold the story.
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil. He betrayed and murdered your father.
Luke believes him, and it's not like the events of the movie gave him any reason to doubt this premise, as things go about how you'd expect. Vader kills the mentor as he killed Luke's father. Luke avenges Obi-Wan by blowing up the Death Star, the good guys win, and the bad guys lose. The next logical step for a sequel is for Luke to become a heroic Jedi so he could control the Force as a tool against tyranny. However, when Yoda begins to train him, things become less black and white. The lessons he teaches Luke are eerily similar to the wisdom he bestowed upon Anakin.
But beware of the dark side. Anger, Fear, aggression, the dark side of the Force are they. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
I can't keep the vision out of my head. They're my friends. I gotta help them.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
I won't let these visions come true, Master Yoda.
And sacrifice Han and Leia.
If you honor what they fight for, yes.
Just like with Anakin, Yoda advises Luke to abandon his attachments, and like his father, he chooses to ignore him.
R2, fire up the converters.
A hero doesn't leave his friends to die and get tortured, the hero rescues them. Luke is the good guy, he's the hero, and despite Yoda's warnings, he couldn't possibly go down a dark path. I mean, after all, he's nothing like the sinister Darth Vader. Of course someone so evil was seduced by the dark side. Luke was going to be a Jedi Knight like his father before him.
Why wish you become Jedi?
Mostly because of my father, I guess.
Huh? Father? How for Jedi was he?
But then everything changes, not due to their battle, but because of the conversation that followed it.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
That one truth shatters everything Luke thought he knew. Vader, the man who tortured his friends, who stood by while planets were destroyed, is not just some vague, unrelated personification of evil. He's family. He's his father. Vader is Luke. The evil he once thought was so distant from his life lives in him, in his name, in his bloodline, in his future. And suddenly, the lines blur. The Jedi said Vader had killed his father, but Obi-Wan lied, or at best twisted the truth.
From a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
And despite deceit being the way of the Sith, Vader was the first one to tell Luke the truth. That contradiction begins to open Luke's eyes to a possibility he had never considered. If Obi-Wan and Yoda were willing to hide this, what else had they given up on? He stops seeing Vader as a symbol of maleficence and starts seeing him as a man. Because Luke and Anakin are not so different. They were both dreamers raised on Tatooine under twin suns, both craving something bigger than the world they were born into. Both powerful in the Force, reckless with emotion, and prone to defiance. Like Anakin, Luke thought the Force was something to control, but he would come to learn its real power was in letting go. Where the Jedi saw a lost cause, Luke saw someone worth saving. And it's in that quiet defiance Luke doesn't just step into the legacy of the Jedi, he steps into the legacy of his mother.
There's good in him. I know.
Padme Amidala knew Anakin's soul was still able to be redeemed. She died believing it, and for years that belief was buried. But Luke, without even knowing her, dug it up and restored Padme's hope that had been long forgotten.
There is still good in him.
He loved his father the way Padme did, not because he was perfect, or because the vile mask of Vader was appealing to either of them, but because somewhere behind the distorted mechanical breaths of terror through a black skull-like mask, Anakin was still in there. And through Luke's inheritance of his mother's belief, he gave Anakin something no one else ever had: a way back. Luke surrenders himself to Vader, not as a vengeful knight, but as a hopeful and forgiving son. While Luke has his lightsaber with him, he doesn't carry it as a weapon, but as a symbol of his newfound purpose. Its shape and color, green, echoes the first Jedi Anakin Skywalker ever encountered, Qui-Gon Jinn, the Jedi who believed in Anakin Skywalker when no one else did, the first to see his worth.
He is the chosen one. You must see it.
And now, decades later, that same faith is passed to his son.
I know there is good in you. The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully.
And as he's brought before his father, something passes between them. Not anger, not hatred, hesitation. For the first time in decades, Vader seems unsure. Luke calls him father, speaks not to the mask, but to the man underneath. But the shadow of the Emperor still looms, and the war for Anakin's soul isn't over just yet. The Emperor wastes no time. He tempts Luke the same way he tempted Anakin, through fear, through pain, through righteous anger.
Are you going to kill me?
I would certainly like to.
I know you would. I can feel your anger.
Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
And just like Anakin, Luke is pushed to the edge. He watches his friends suffer, their chances of victory growing ever more slim. He hears Vader threaten his sister, and in that moment, he snaps. He attacks, he lashes out, fueled not by clarity, but by fear, by the hate and anger. He beats down Vader, cuts off his hand, and stands over him ready to end it.
Good, Anakin, good. Kill him.
And take your father's place at my side.
I shouldn't.
Do it.
This is how it starts. This is how his father fell. This is the same choice offered again.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
In that moment, Luke completes the arc that Anakin never could. He surrenders to the will of the Force as opposed to trying to control it. And in doing so, he finally becomes a Jedi.
So be it, Jedi.
However, Palpatine does not accept this result. He turns on Luke, unleashing lightning, wrath, hatred, all-consuming power. And this time, Anakin watches, just like he once stood by and let fear dictate his choice. But not this time. Through Luke's example, Anakin finally sees how to resist the dark, not through power, but through faith. His son believed in him. He called him father. He called him something he had not been referred to as in over 2 decades. And with that, there was a return of the Jedi. Anakin collapses, his breath labored. The mask that once defined him now barely keeps him alive.
Luke, help me take this mask off.
Anakin knows the end is near. It's not a request for comfort. It's a request for freedom. Freedom from Vader, from the lies, from the armor that kept him alive long after he stopped living. Luke removes the mask, and underneath it, he doesn't find a monster. He finds a man, broken, human, and finally at peace.
I've got to save you.
You already have. Luke, you were right. You were right about me.
In those final words, Anakin doesn't just thank Luke. He vindicates Padme. He completes the arc that began the moment he was called the Chosen One, not by defeating his enemies, but by choosing love when it mattered most. Anakin Skywalker was a boy born into slavery, but was rescued by a Jedi who believed in him. He told Anakin he was the Chosen One, that he would bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith. But the Jedi Order as a whole never fully trusted him. They feared his passion, his power, his anger. They kept him close, but never let him in. So when he fell, no one was really surprised, not even them. and for years he was lost beyond saving. Even in death, the voices that once trained him had given up on him.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
But his son hadn't. Luke Skywalker didn't see a Sith Lord. He saw his father, a man once again enslaved, not just by a cybernetic suit, but by regret. And through his compassion, he shattered the chains that others had long accepted as unbreakable. He reminded Anakin who he was, not Vader, not a failure, but the boy who wanted to help people.
The prize money would more than pay for the parts they need. Mom, you say the biggest problem in this universe is nobody helps each other.
He didn't reclaim that identity through strength, through power, through controlling the Force. He reclaimed it through sacrifice, through compassion, through his love for his son. The galaxy doesn't need to forgive him. He doesn't need the praise he once longed for. He simply needed to do the right thing one final time. And for the first time ever, he was free. We finally get to see Anakin as the man he was meant to be all along. The one who brought balance to the Force. The one who destroyed the Sith. But more than that, a father his son could be proud of. And the best part, he knows it. And after fighting fear his entire life, he was finally able to defeat it. This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker forever.